That just made me so awkward.
We're live. Well, I guess technically not live, but
Well, we're live
doing it.
in the garage.
in the garage.
Do you have a name for this space?
I've been referring to it as the Vibe Lounge.
It fits.
Yeah,
Very vibey.
because, I like lights.
Do we introduce ourselves?
I don't really... Sure.
I think
The beauty of this is we get to make up the rules. Like, we are renegades. So,
we are.
Introduce
Rachel,
yourself.
tell us who you are.
Okay, I'll go first. I am Rachel Longendijk Teeter. I'm not truly hyphenated, but, why not?
you're not?
No, I'm technically
Shit.
Rachel Teeter. However, I learned recently that living in a very small town, and when you don't actually work in the community, because I work outside of the community, I work remotely, you somehow become two different people known by two different last names. So I started using both just to combine them into the true me that I am.
So all that marketing that I've been doing where I have
It's
hyphenized you.
That's what I want. Yeah. It's all been
I've just
perfect.
hyphenated everything.
No.
I went for it.
Yeah, that is
I
exactly
remember
the right
you
way.
telling a story recently about how somebody was hoping to meet Rachel Teeter.
Yes.
And they were introduced to Rachel Longendijk.
Yes.
And not
they were a little
realizing-
disappointed.
Yeah, they were mad.
Yeah.
I thought that story was fantastic.
That's honestly the thing that kind of kicked this all off.
Yeah,
So.
which is funny because I 100% relate.
Yeah.
I'm Jillian Tremonti Engelhart.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I go by Jillian Tremonti. So my previous life when I was married, Engelhart is my married name. And it's
Legal name still?
Is still my
Yeah.
legal name. But when I got married, I moved my maiden name Tremonti to my middle name. So I'm also still legally Jillian Tremonti.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So when people call me Jill Tremonti, it still works.
It
And
works.
I was just at the eye doctor's the other day, and Allie Smith said, "Oh, there's Jill Tremonti," and the nurse looked at her like, "Who? Fuck's that?" I'm like, she means Jill Engelhart. That's me. We have that in common.
We sure do.
I'm not hyphenating though, because who wants to write Tremonti-Engelhart?
I do not. It's out of necessity, not desire.
Yeah, you have a lot. You have long
It's
ones
a
too.
lot. Yeah.
Actually, funny story. When I was telling my kids what I was doing today, my oldest son was asking who you were, which he knows you because I'm motioning to Alex,
Our tech producer.
who's got us up and running today. He said, "Well, who are you meeting with? Is it Rachel Carr?" And I said, "No, it's Rachel Teeter Longendijk." And said, "You might know Alex. He's helping Tyler with basketball coaching, right?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, I know who he is, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Yeah, his mom's name, Rachel Teeter Longendijk." And he goes, "Woof." I thought I had a last name. I'd never want to write that. I said, "Funny you say."
Yep.
Anyways.
Exactly right.
That's
Hello.
here. Hi.
That's a little bit about us.
That's a lot about us.
And just our names. That's truly not anything about us, but
And why we need a podcast.
right. I am excited to be here. We don't necessarily know what we're doing, but we know we have things to say. And so we're hoping for some grace from our audience as we get started. But
Sure.
I'm just here because I really just want to give an opportunity to share some of the things that I've learn from you, have an opportunity to bring some people into the conversation and just start a conversation about things that matter and things that are hard to figure out sometimes when you're on your own, but things that might not be so scary if you've got some opportunities to talk about them. I'm excited to be here and kind of pull this apart with you and figure out what this is going to end up meaning.
My impetus for being here it's been a long time coming for me. I think the accountability of us being in this project together is kind of what's finally sent me over the edge, because this sounds really cheesy, but I'm going for it. I've dreamt about doing this for many years. I know for myself, when I've gone through some of the harder shit that I've had to deal with, I myself turned to podcasts. That was a really helpful part of my growth and development. And to get me through that stuff was just to listen to other people's stories.
Yeah.
But I also I love talking to people about themselves, because I think that everybody we meet is a little bit of an expert in their own right. Everybody has had something in particular that they have had to figure out on their own, and they've really gotten good at it. And oftentimes that expertise isn't their day job, or it's
Right.
not something that you really know about them. So I really love having conversations with people and uncovering what's underneath. Naturally, podcasting was always something that was like, oh God, I would really love to, if I had a podcast, I could talk to this person for 2 hours and we could have all this stuff and all this great conversation. And, life kind of got in the way of it. I have a 9 to 5, you have a 9 to 5, and really it feels like a 72-hour a day job sometimes, and are raising kids and doing things in the community and doing our own hobbies and prioritizing something like this challenge. Excited to be here, a little nervous, but it feels very fun and exciting already.
It's interesting because as I sit there and think about kind of what's led up to this moment and the paths that I've traveled, it'll come up obviously during many parts of the conversation, I'm sure. But, when I got sober in 2020, I started to step into myself in a way that I never had before because I needed to. Obviously, alcohol was my choice, and I used that to shield myself from a lot of feeling and a lot of just confronting and dealing with some of the things that I tried to avoid and push away. And in 2020, when I got sober and I really started to just kind of set down the shame that I carried for so very many years, and I really started to just say, hey, like, we have one life to live, and it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to learn and try something new and do something new. And when I started to experience that level of vulnerability and the response that I got to it, the permission it almost gave others to kind of open up in those same conversations, I was like, whoa, there is something serious here. And there is something that I know that I need. So, I mean, truthfully, it started selfishly, like, because I was searching. I was searching for connection. I was searching for conversation. I realized that there were so many years that I had put all of my energy into avoiding my reality that now all of a sudden I felt behind, and there was so much to learn, and there were so many experiences that I should have had but didn't, or I manipulated the experiences through self-sabotage or whatever that looked like. And so ever since then, it's kind of like the curtain came back, and I realized that, to your point, we are all brilliant. And we all have our stories, and we all have the times that we fell or the times that we excelled. There's just so much love, and there's just so much permission given when we can just have those conversations with one another. So, I started having these kinds of talks with people, and just through kind of everyday run-ins and such, if I was, out to eat or just hanging with the girlfriends and stuff, and they just always left me inspired. They always left me feeling empowered to try more and to be better and to try to do a little bit better than I did the day before. And I thought, bet that there's a lot of women out there who would really benefit from the opportunity to hear just a little bit about the path that I've traveled so far and what I've learned, and maybe even talk to some of the women that I've learned from and I've learned through, have them join these conversations, maybe even get lucky and learn a little bit and hear from them. It's interesting to be reflective on that journey, and how much time I spent trying to do everything but be open and transparent. And now I find myself here like saying, let's just talk about all the things and let's just put it all out there.
Your reflection is interesting too, highlighting that in those conversations there was connection specifically with other women. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I really had to work through and change my life is that I lost a brother in 2018, and it opened my eyes to the same story that you had dealing with your sobriety, is that I had spent so much of my life before that performing and having this idea of who I was supposed to be. And then when you go through a loss that big, everything unravels. And then if you're left with the shell of who you actually are and you don't know her, you're screwed. And I had to claw my way back to being a person. There are sometimes conversations that I have with people, my children, my family, my close friends, about the 2 years after my brother died, that I know were very eye-opening or very impactful for them, and I can't remember a thing because I was so lost in this pretense that I had built, and then seeing the gap between what and who I really was and wanted to be and wanted for my life versus what I was actually in. And so I had to do a lot of unraveling. And through those conversations and through that experience, most of the people that were walking alongside me were women. Not to be sexist. Not.
It's okay. I don't think he's offended. Tech producer.
It also was circumstantial because at that point in my life, I owned a dance studio here in town. And so I was around dancers, but I was also around their moms a lot.
Yeah.
And some of the first people, my front line, who helped me through so much stuff, all dance moms. A dance mom was one of the first people that I actually said out loud in Grayling, aside from my first husband, that my brother had died. And what did she do immediately? Wrapped me up in this giant hug and cried right with me in public at the grocery store. Like, it was a moment. And so I think back on these things, and there's been other opportunities for growth that I've lived through too in this tiny, tiny town. But when I think about the moments that I was really struggling and reaching out for connection or wanting the universe to provide something for me to hold on to, that always came from female friends. And not to negate some of the male friends that I had along the way, because also wrapped up in my brother dying is my divorce, and that was a whole shit sandwich to eat, and it was awful. So those two things kind of went hand in hand. So thank God I had my female friends to help me navigate all that stuff. But even to the point that when I was looking for resources and information, the books that I was grabbing, written by women.
Yeah.
The podcasts I was listening to, facilitated by women. I went to a grief counseling group, facilitated by a woman. So like there was so much of this female energy that buoyed me up and got me through. Long story long, knowing that I've moved into a place in my life where I have come into my own, and that felt a certain way for me, and I don't ever want to be numb to somebody else experiencing that. So I live my life just super open. And oftentimes I'm connecting with other women in the same way that I needed it back then.
Yeah.
So coming full circle, yes, eventually in our business plan, we want to expand and we want to, provide opportunities for men to connect and find growth and find information and build a network for them. But also, like, we know that we can't be the leaders in that front, but I'm very much looking forward to building a network and a collaborative and a space for women to find each other and to learn about themselves in that space.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes to all of that. And I do feel compelled, and I don't know why, but I do feel compelled to like recognize that we are being, really pointed and directive towards women and our experience with that. There's some great men out there. And so this is definitely not to try to, bully them into believing that they're not enough. But I think that there are so many unique and interesting demands that only women understand that are on us. And there are so many things that I think we as women are learning. We look at our grandmothers and we look at our mothers and some of the ways that they had to navigate the world as a woman. And I think they've built our current reality to be where we can actually show up as equals in spaces that we weren't able to show up as equals before. And so I think being able to learn from each other and see how other women are showing up and taking the lead in their own lives is empowering, and being able to show that and share that with others is so huge to me. And so having that female connection and being able to just lean into all of the ways that women see the world, because there are 1,000 different things to consider in any given moment. And I think women are uniquely experienced in considering all of the things. And so when I hear stories about how, you were comforted in the grocery store by a female who just knew to drop everything in that moment and throw her arms around you and sit with you in that moment and feel that in that moment, that's because she was able to connect with you in a way that a man would probably not really truly understand, maybe some. But anyhow, so this is to, give my kind of rallying cry behind the power of female connection and why I think that it truly is something that makes the world go round. I think the more disconnected humans are, you can directly tie it to how connected women feel. I think we're the connectors of the human species. I think that if we step into this space and make it okay to connect again in person and emotionally and just all of these things, I think others will follow suit. And so I think that's why I know women have paved the way and been kind of my guiding light in when the times were dark and when I looked for kind of whatever that sign was and to find a direction to head, it was usually a woman holding the lantern or whatever it was, because she had probably been through something like that and said, here, follow me. This is the way through. And that's what I think the beauty of the connection is because we are all just at different stages in our journeys. And so somebody has gone through this before. Somebody can help us disentangle kind of the mess that any given moment is. And so, I think females are awesome. And I can't wait to, celebrate them more and learn more and
provide more connection for others. I think it's time for us to dive into what the hell we're doing.
Yeah, I think so too. We've alluded to it a couple of times. We've teased it. So what are we doing, Jill?
We're in Cahoots.
Yeah, we sure are.
We're officially in Cahoots. We have decided to join forces. The two of us are in business together, along with Nicole Persing-Wethington. Dr. Nicole Persing-Wethington, which she
amazing.
Probably hates that we just pointed that out.
But she deserves it.
She deserves it.
She deserves
She's
it.
a boss-ass bitch.
Yep.
Anyway, and we are building a company to provide opportunities for people to grow, to connect, to learn, to network, and to move themselves forward and dive into what is the messiness of us being humans. In real life, part of what that looks like is us doing a podcast together.
Yeah.
And eventually inviting other people to come share their stories, share their expertise. What we're also looking to do is to build online communities. What we're specifically working on right now is putting together a Women's Empowerment Summit, and mostly to dive a little bit deeper. We had a project that we worked on together. Actually, for the past 2 years, we've been working on it together. It was a women's empowerment brunch. It was a morning to chat, and Rachel and I switched spots this year, and Rachel facilitated it and I was on the panel, and Rachel was able to, I don't really know, it's like when you are in Mario Kart in Rainbow World and then you go over the like triple arrows and you go vroom, 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 and you just like shoot off into space. Like that's what Rachel did for the brunch, which was kind of the catalyst to get us where we are. And so like the women's brunch, I don't want to say it. I don't want to do a drug reference, but I'm a hood rat, and that's the only thing I know. But women's brunch on crack. I'm sure I'll come up with something better later at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I should have said this
that's
instead.
what I should have said.
Instead of being my true nature. But we're doing authenticity. Putting together a Women's Empowerment Summit, bringing together multiple women who have expertise in these different lenses as to what we're calling them. Emotional intelligence, belonging, banking and building credit, personal safety, lifelong education, community service, advocacy, and health. Look, I nailed all of them, didn't I?
Yeah.
I write
was
them
looking
so
for like,
often.
where's the list? But
I write them every day, so I am very familiar. Just bringing folks together to dive into some content and to do some work alongside each other, but also to provide connection to maybe people that you don't know or people that you might know, but you're going to learn something new about them. That's kind of our first big project. This would be our second project is the podcasting, but that's what we're tackling. What do you have to say about it? What are your thoughts?
well, the name of the company is the Human Development Collective.
I didn't even say it.
That's okay. We got to it. You teased it. Like I like the building anticipation, and I love the sipping out of the mug because we have mugs now too.
It's officially official when you get a mug with a brand on it.
I know. I love it. I am really excited to see what comes of this. And you were saying how a handful of years ago, this whole idea has been kind of rolling around around in your mind. And I don't know if you remember or realize this, but the seeds were planted during the first chamber event when you facilitated. I was just an attendee.
Yeah.
And I approached you afterward. Yes.
I love this
you
story.
remember this. Yes. And I was floored because first off, I was already just like neck deep in just the amazement of how so many people were being so open and vulnerable in conversations like this. And I was really excited to see an opportunity like that in our small town in northern Michigan, because at that point I was working out in corporate America. And so these offerings and these opportunities were out there, and that's what kind of brought me into that realm, if you will. But then to have that showing up in Grayling, Michigan, like that was amazing. And so anyhow, going there and hearing that conversation and seeing how well and strong of a facilitator you were and how you were able to just inspire authenticity. We may overuse that word, but I haven't found a better one yet to explain what's happening. And so at that moment, I was like, we have got to bring this to more women. We have got to start the conversation. We have got to expand this even outside of Grayling. I mean, just the fact that we were able to pull, I think, 70 or 75 people, to that event.
83.
There you go. Was in and of itself proof positive that there was a need, there was a hunger for it, there's an appetite, and so there was a space to fill. So anyhow, I tried to get Jill to come work for me at the company that
I just started the job that I'm in now, which was also kind of like a dream come true. But let's not pretend that wasn't an attractive offer. It really was a dilemma for me to choose a pathway. Ultimately, not that I did not choose wrong, because we wouldn't be here.
Right.
We didn't make the choices that we had made. But I do think that having somebody who's in that field and sees this every day, see that I do have a talent of sorts.
Indeed you do.
It was very affirming for me to know, like, okay, there is something special here, and there is a reason why this desire you have is there.
Yep.
Anyways, keep saying great things about me, Rach.
I will. That was kind of what really sparked all of this for me. It was because I believed in the passion that I bring to any project that I care about. Like, I know I can be really kind of almost annoying in making things happen when I have the right people involved. And so I'm always I can harness energy. I'm not the expert.
Yeah,
I'm not
can
the
I correct
doer.
you?
Well,
though?
Sure.
Not annoying.
Okay. I find it annoying sometimes. I annoy myself.
Because you live with it every day.
That's probably
There's
fair.
an intensity that you have, which I appreciate, because I have a similar intensity.
Okay.
Carry on.
Very good. I like that. Thank you for that reframe. I appreciate that. See? Women.
Boom, mic drop. I won't drop it, though, because we don't own them.
Yeah. We're on loan. Thanks, Teeter Talks. See, we even shouted you out. But yeah, that was kind of what started all of this. And so then fast forward to the following year, which you graciously invited me to be a panelist for that discussion. And, even then when we were talking about you being a facilitator for my company and such, we were also talking about how to make that event even more powerful. So those conversations already started a handful of years ago. Yeah. So then I came and, you invited me to be a panelist. And so I was able to make some really great connections through that and find that my story, because I was open during that about my sobriety, I remember. And I went back and forth about that. And I don't hide that because it's not something I'm ashamed of by any stretch. But we also live in a small town, and the dynamics that come with that. And so anyhow, I decided I would just be vulnerable. And the people who approached me, Paige, she's listening. I have a couple other people who came afterward offering their support and their gratitude for having said that, and other panelists revealing so many different things. And so I was like, man, there is something here. And so then fast forward to August of 2025, and the chamber director reached out and asked if I was interested in swapping places and holding the mic as the facilitator and you on the panel. I thought, well, all right, the stars have aligned, and let's see what we can do. I thought, if we can pull together some expertise in each of these areas, because what started was I asked myself, am I an empowered woman? Like, do I belong? Do I deserve holding the mic? And my immediate wanted response was, yeah. And I do think that I am. But I started thinking about the different areas that I do still feel insecure about, and that I don't necessarily feel empowered to quickly take action in or feel confident to make a decision in. And I thought, but that doesn't disempower me as a whole. So yes, I can be empowered and I can feel really good and strong in certain areas, but I think that there's still stuff that I need to learn and I want to learn. And so I started to consider kind of the idea of lenses, if you will. And so the lenses that you went through is what we landed on. And so bringing all of these women together was strategic in that way. You know, I started thinking about how can we invite a voice who is empowered in that lens and who can actually help us build confidence in that area. And what happened in September for our chamber event was, again, more evidence that, yeah, there are people who will show up. And, you know, we did activities. And so in the summit, you know, we'll have some activities and some opportunities for people to actually get their hands on some of this stuff. Hearing the feedback, because we had women coming up afterwards saying we need to do this all the time. We need more of this. We need to do this every month. We need this. We need that.
And so many needs.
So it just was like this moment in time. And I believe in momentum. And I think that we have been building momentum for the last few years. And you've been a common thread. I've been a common thread. We've invited some of these women into the space, and we're just all, it's really interesting to me to see how interconnected it's all becoming. So we decided that, you know, there is no time like now. And how do we bring this out to more and more people? And so we decided to start looking in our area, and the people who are joining us for the February event are all graciously still on board, and they're excited about it. And so they're throwing their ideas in, and we landed on our little sister city, Gaylord. Yeah, I'm just really excited. We're going to let this one breathe a little bit more. So it's going to be a full day event. It'll be 8:30 registration. We're going to have a gorgeous breakfast at Treetops Resort in Gaylord, Michigan. The conference center has just gone through renovation, so it'll be super nice. And we'll spend the day together, and we'll go through each of those lenses. And we have a great group of women who are going to come in and take turns handing the mic back and forth and sharing a little bit about them. And then we also are excited to learn from the people who are in the room with us too, because it is definitely not a presentation. Part of this movement and part of the goal of this company is to invite voices in, not to talk at. And so I'm really excited to hear from people in the audience too, you know, people who decide to join the movement and just kind of step in and invest in themselves for a day. And it'll be kind of whatever that next iteration of this thing is. And with any luck, we'll be able to grow that even beyond.
I think the thing that I'm most excited about, well, there's two things that come top of mind. One is that we're going to have more time. We ultimately realized that we had undercut ourselves in our planning, just like we shot for the stars, because, you know, when you're talking about something in these lenses as an expert that you're so passionate about and that you know so much. I know so much about what I've had to go through to understand what does it look like in somebody's life to cultivate belonging.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning.
Yep.
So to have 10 minutes to whittle myself down, include an activity and reflection that I thought was going to be impactful enough to like just wet some whistles and get people a step in the door into welcoming more belonging into their lives and really understanding what that means for themselves. Like, that was such a challenge to boil it down into this little, you know, just the tip of the iceberg. Yep. And to say the right things and to tell the right stories and to connect in the right way to get them to perk up to it. So I'm very excited to have a little, selfishly. Also, yes. I love a microphone and a captive audience, but also like just to be able to dig in a little bit more to actually get our hands dirty in some of the activities. Like, I wanted to tap into people's core of who they really are, because that's where your authenticity is key. What is the saying about the milk and the cow?
Oh,
nobody wants to buy the cow if you give away the milk for free. Thank you. So like, I don't want to get too out of myself. But like tapping into that authenticity, that's hard work.
Yeah.
It's hard work, especially if you're not used to doing it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get into it, but that is its own elephant to try to figure out how to eat and to get people to start that process. I don't even feel like I could really tackle it in the tiny little window that we've had previously, but now I feel like, rawr, like we're ready, let's do it. And just can't wait to blow some minds, first of all. Second of all, I'm excited to go to a new community because not that I don't love Grayling, I love Grayling, but our audience here is our friends.
Yeah.
And for some of us, our family, not for me, except my mom does always come.
Yeah.
She's not coming to this one, I don't think. We'll see.
She's going to hear this and
she's going to hear it and she's going to invite us immediately. I'm excited to tap into a new community of people because some of the people who have been coming to these events or speaking at these events are the same ones that come the next year. Yes, because they're female and they live in Grayling, but also because they've now understand the power, right? So I'm just excited to get new energy into the mix, partially because, like you've been saying, this information and this message and this movement, if you will, is contagious. It's so needed, but also when we can get new voices and get new energy into the room and into the conversation, it only keeps growing. We're all working, double time to make sure that we have fresh content, but we're going to add new voices to the conversation. And after this day, we might find even more voices. That's the hope, is to find more voices to add into the conversation. Or maybe somebody's got this really wonderful process that they're already working through and can set up a framework for these other women that we're connecting into. That's kind of the hope, is to just continue building the momentum, but capturing it so that people can really cheesy again. I should have like a cheese alert. Cheese alert.
A little
like a little button. Jill's cheese button. But like to transform their lives. Because, again, back to the power of relationships with other women, we have that capability. We're transformative. So those are the two things that I'm super excited for, looking forward to this summit.
Well, one of the things that I kind of want to pull on this thread a little bit on what you said, because I'm not sure if you realize, but, when you and Nicole and myself, when we were starting to talk about this business and what that could be and such, we were talking about the business name. And you were the one who mentioned, I just think that there would be something cool about collective, like something about that.
Yeah.
And that pinged for me. That sparked an idea in my mind and thought about the business in a way that I hadn't exactly thought about before. And that was, what a powerful place, or what a powerful opportunity to be able to create kind of the platform, if you will. And then as we cross paths with other women who have something to say, we can... Yes, here we have developed the platform. Come say what you want to say. And so, to your point, like, one of the things that we want these experiences to grow into is, there's no way with these 8 lenses that in an 8-hour day that you can learn all the things that there is to know about all 8 lenses. So the idea is to just give you kind of that glimpse in, and the stretched full day will give us time to dive a little bit deeper in there. But there will be questions. There will be things that other people want to explore a little bit more deeply. And so if we can start to collect those things and that information and capture that need, we can start to explore what kind of expertise we already have within us. Or there's already been talk about time management and energy management, how fun it would be. And that's kind of drilled down.
Wait a second. Did you just say how fun it would be to talk about time?
See, but this is why I love it, because you don't have to be in that would be fun.
I know, I would have to be the front row student at time management, says the girl who showed up 15 minutes late today.
Right.
It is at least 10 minutes late every time we meet.
But I think that there's just so many conversations that we can have that just help us answer some really basic questions that can put us on the path for individual development. Like we can't, there is a responsibility that each of us has in our own development and what energy we want to put into our own growth. But what we can do is we can help each other find the start of that path. And we can even figure out what those those first couple of steps look like together. And then ultimately that accountability that we're trying to develop too will help keep us motivated to continue our own growth. But there are going to be things that I need more than you do. And there are going to be things that other people are more interested in. But the collective is a place where all of it can be and all of it can belong. And so really what I would love to ultimately develop, and this is what's exciting to me, is because the people who join us for these events and start to opt into these experiences, you're at the ground level. You get to influence what this is going to be. You get to build it with us. But I think that's the power, and that's what's really most exciting to me, is because, again, as I mentioned before, there are certain things that I feel really strong about. Like during the summit, I'm going to speak on service and what giving back means and how important that is for our own well-being and, the opportunity for connection. And I'm going to talk about advocacy too. But I would never in a million years be able to stand up there and talk about and give some ideas on banking and building credit, And so the collective just really, when you said that word, bringing it back, when you said that, it was just like, oh my God, that is what our mission is. Our mission is to develop the platform, to create the framework where information can be shared amongst experts, because that's who we are. And so that's what I'm really excited about. I think the summit starts us. I think it starts bringing people into the ecosystem, and it starts opening up the conversation for us to all build this together. And what that looks like, sky's the limit. You know? It's amazing.
Well, and I feel like too, when we say words like collective, empowerment is baked into it for how we're attempting to go about the work, right? So yes, we're offering these experiences. We're offering things like the summit. We're going to have virtual cohorts that then meet up from those and offer that opportunity. And when we're talking about cultivating even more opportunities for people to step into these expert roles, empowerment's baked into that too, because somebody else recognizing, just like we were talking about earlier, when you saw something in me that I don't think I really gave power to myself for, but when a business comes to you and says, you have these really interesting things to say, and we have a platform that we would really love to provide you with, let us show you the way of how you can operate within this structure. That's so empowering. And I'm excited to watch that journey, like the inner workings of how this all shifts and transmutes. Is that a word? I think it is.
I think so. It works.
I'm an English major. I can make them up if I want. But just to see how things evolve over time and who ends up coming along into our lives, because like we've talked about, we kept recognizing that we keep getting pushed together in these particular ways. And it only took us long enough to realize oh, it's because we should try this together. And if I can say so myself, I think it's going swimmingly.
I love it.
I love it.
Great.
So that's what we're doing.
Shared intensity.
Yeah, baby. Oh boy. What thoughts do you have?
If there was a point that I really wanted to kind of walk away feeling like I made, is just to reiterate the fact that whatever ends up coming out of this, it is meant to serve. It is meant to fill a need in each of the people who chooses to opt in. And we can't necessarily define what that is for people. And so what we've done is we've decided kind of these are the things that we know that we need. But we want to hear and I want to learn and just really make sure that people understand that this is to serve them. And so let's start talking to one another and let's start sharing about the things that we do need in our own personal lives. And I think through each other and through connection and through whatever this collective ends up being, perhaps we can actually find that. I think that that's the thing that I really want to make sure that people walk away with is this is for all of us, not just to drive your agenda or to drive my agenda or to drive Nicole's agenda. It is truly just to create that platform.
Well said.
Thank you.
I have nothing to add to that. No notes.
There we are. So I think with that, so do we wrap up our first little conversation or do we
our first podcast episode, you mean?
I mean, is that enough of a glimpse into it? And wow, 45 minutes went pretty fast.
Loved it.
So, well, before we do that, like, let's do some of the fun, like, reflection and, like...
Silly stuff? What? Yeah. Ask me a question. What do you mean?
I don't know.
I need your help.
So, you know, full disclosure, you've shared openly that you've been nervous about doing podcasts and just kind of how to get started and stuff. And so,
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is fun to talk about because it is very vulnerable for me to talk about.
Okay. Well, we don't have to.
Oh, no, I want to. Oh, I'm going to rip that can open.
There we go.
Yeah.
I love it.
I can't help it. I cannot help it. I have been anxious to, how do I say this? I have been anxious to quote unquote start a podcast because one, sometimes I feel like it sounds really cliche and I hate cliche.
Yeah.
Which sounds cliche to say. So it's just this never ending cycle of nonsense. I also, so I can say confidently because it's a joke. I'm a person who loves a microphone and a captive audience. In that coin of life that I have, the opposite side of my jokingness is an incredible insecurity that is 100% self-serving. So doing something like this, it was much easier for me to navigate and to get my head around and feel less afraid doing it when I knew I wasn't going to do it alone.
I love it.
And even if I would have said from the jump of starting my own podcast, I still would have felt so much more self-serving. And I have a really hard time with that. And in fact, I am so glad you asked this question. I've even had a difficult time talking to other people about what we're doing.
Interesting.
For the same reason. I haven't gotten very far into like navigating how to get past it, but I'm at least trying to chew on it. When I took over the dance studio here in town, that was so easy for me to do because I am an expert in dance. I am an expert in teaching. I have been doing it for so long. I've been doing it across the state, across the country. I am sought after. Like the comfort there, easy peasy lemon squeezy. I had absolutely no fears about it whatsoever. Or at least, Jill in 2025, soon to be 2026, looking back at Jill in 2017, sees the fearlessness. Something like this, though, I am not an expert. I don't know what the hell we're doing. We had to get Alex to help us. And we're still asking him all these questions and we don't even know what we're going to do after this. And all of that terrifies me. But also I think that I have a hard time with not being the expert in the room.
Yeah.
And so anytime I have been given a microphone is because I am the expert. And so to not be the expert is, as the only girl in a giant family of boys and the youngest, my voice to me, and not my literal voice, because I think I have a great speaking voice and don't nobody tell me nothing. But my actual voice and the things that I have to say to allow myself to give myself a platform to say them or to speak them out loud or to use that to connect or to build or to, God forbid, go into business on. I have a really hard time with it. So it's so funny, while we're working on this project together, the project really is me at the end of my day of okay, well, yeah, you did all this marketing stuff and you wrote all these blogs right now and you put together all the series and all this thought content and you did all this and this strategy and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, because you do that every day. I'm an expert in that field too. What I'm not an expert at is letting myself not be good at things. I'm horrible at that. So I forget exactly what your question is, but that's where I'm at with all of it.
I think that answers it. I was just curious overall, how you were feeling, and just having this last 45 minutes under your belt. You've had thoughts and ideas on how to do this. And we just, the execution of it, I was curious what it was bringing.
Well, of course, I'm going to talk about all my feelings.
Well, that's what I was hopeful for. Thank you for sharing all of that.
You and I have always had good dynamic. I think that makes it a lot easier. I think the accountability is really important for me as somebody who's neurodivergent. I live with ADHD every single day. That's unmedicated. It really should be. But to have the accountability and know that somebody else is expecting some sort of organization and formalization, and for me to be a guiding point forces me to get my shit together in a way that doesn't happen if there isn't a counterpart there. For us to actually get to this point, even though sometimes I feel like I've kind of just showed up and you've been guiding the boat, but like we're here, we've done it. And I know now that we've done this, like I just can't wait until we do more.
I'm just so grateful that you shared all of that. I think that's one of the things that I want us to be open and transparent about, is because we are everyday people. I had confidence in the fact that I knew how to run a business in the way that I know operations, I know process, I am organized, I know how to build a spreadsheet, I know operations. And so to be able to take this idea of what we could do, and it closely aligned with what I've been doing professionally with kind of in the speaking space and developing content, I knew that I could confidently step into that and do that. But the areas that have always held me back from doing it on my own is because I don't know how to talk about it in the way. And so you sit there and say, like, I feel a little nervous about talking about it, however it was that you said that, you know, that exists too right now, just because we're learning and just because we haven't defined it entirely yet. We keep saying we're building the plane as we fly it because we truthfully are. And so like, I feel so excited to talk about the project and like share what we're doing. And I try to put it on our socials and that kind of stuff. But when I'm sitting down and actually having a conversation with somebody about it, I do feel a little like, how do I explain what this is? How do I explain
what we're doing?
Yeah.
It's really hard, and we might need to have a think tank about it.
I know. Well,
develop our talking points.
But what I have learned is, though, you know, leading with just kind of this vulnerability that we're just kind of figuring some stuff out. We're going on some instincts, and we're also using research in that. We're asking people who are willing to give their opinion. We've done some surveys and asked for some feedback from people who have been gracious enough to share what their experiences have been. But it's a challenging thing to talk about and get people excited about. But as we are talking, one of the things we failed to mention is going to Gaylord. We do have local Gaylord women who are really excited about us coming into that space. And so Linda Durant specifically, she is going to join our panel. And I know I'm so excited to learn more about her. But as we're having these conversations, as I'm trying to explain to some of these new people what we're trying to do, even if I'm not finding the exact right words and it's not rolling off my tongue in this polished way, the energy and the connection that it's creating right away says, oh, that's less important. I don't have to have a polished paragraph to say what this company is going to be about. I can sit down across from someone and look them in the eye and say, I think women need some connection. I think we are missing some connection. And right away, there's a, yes, you're right. Tell me more. And so when that moment happens, I realize that, you know, I don't think we have to have this thing. So that's the way that I kind of work myself through, you know, what are we doing and how are we doing it? Because I don't want to sound like we're inexperienced, or I don't want to sound like we're just kind of flying blind here, because to a certain degree, that's true. But we are strategic. We have a vision. We have a plan. We have a roadmap. We've got the nuts and bolts figured out. That's the easy part.
Yeah. And I also think, like, let's not discredit ourselves in our own professional capacities. There's a really powerful skill set that exists in this trifecta.
You are
right.
Like
sometimes I get chills thinking about you and I and Nicole and Cahoots together on this project. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't wait to see what it becomes.
I believe so much in kind of things happen when they're supposed to happen. And so, you know, you and I circling around each other in the ways that we have in this space over the last few years. Nicole and I have been connected for years. I know you've been connected with Nicole, and we've all been just kind of, you know, we've all been kind of in our own training grounds, if you will, in our own individual ways. And to see those kind of emerge at the same moment and in the same kind of space, and the energy that that's created has been something of awe. It's taken my breath away a couple of times too.
Samesies.
Yeah. It's been exciting. Like,
and terrifying.
I haven't experienced the terrifying yet. I really, because what have we got to lose? Like, honestly, I mean, it's
that's a
no
great
matter
question.
what. the people that we're meeting and that we've met already have changed me, have offered perspectives, have just provided their own. Like Linda, when I was having coffee with her last Friday, you know, she opened up a little bit about her own journey, and it invited me to be vulnerable in a place that I hadn't even kind of scratched at yet. And it was just like, wow, this thing is already mattering. It's already having an impact. And so there's nothing to lose. There is only to gain.
That's my question to think about for our next episode.
There you go.
What do I have to lose and why am I so scared?
Yeah. It's an interesting
What's
question
your
to ask.
question to think about for you? Are you grappling with anything? Where are you at? Check in.
Check in. I'm excited to have the first one done because I don't remember if I've used this with you before, but the Bad Pancake. It's like there's always a bad pancake.
Oh, yeah. Your first pancake is always a bad
pancake. First pancake is always a bad pancake. So
I think this is a pretty tasty pancake.
I am surprised. I know. That's the thing. So I feel actually pretty good. Like I expected us to be way messier. I really did. Not going to lie. Or maybe I expected myself to be way messier.
Yeah, that's an interesting reflection because what did I say to you the last time that we saw each other and you had brought these little cards to pass out? But I said to you, clear as day, you are so smart. And you joked it off like, oh, yeah, that's what they pay me the big bucks for or something along those lines.
I don't get paid big bucks, by the way. If anybody wants to pay me big bucks, you can reach me at the Human Development Collective.org.
.org. But when I went to bed that night, that was the thing that floating in my head is that Rachel is so smart.
Thank you.
And like that comes with its whole kit and caboodle of like you're well spoken, you're eloquent, the capability that you have, like we have vision, we have mission. The way that you can distill it and communicate it, I can write talking points all day. I just need to write down what the hell you're saying because you're providing what we need. So I'm in awe of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you're not messy.
I have been in awe and have, we can just gush about each other for a hot minute.
I know we really could. Second podcast episode?
I know. The bios though, dude, that you've been writing are so fun. Like they are so well done. And it's just, I've had some of the panelists have even reached out and been like, oh my gosh. Did
I nail them? Okay.
Yeah.
Phew.
So just, you're killing it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
It's amazing to have the partnership, and that's why I think that I'm not super nervous, because I really do believe in what do we have to lose? Like we are just showing up in our full authentic selves and trying to create space. Like that's what we're trying to do, and there will be people who want to join that space. There's no doubt about it. If we can continue to offer it in this way or, you know, with this amount of energy, great. The future is unknown. With the momentum, feeling like the synergy that has brought all of us together in this moment, it feels like something else is in control, and I'm here for it. So
Amen.
I'm just going to roll with that and say whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And I'm really excited, though. There is no fear. Like there really isn't. And that's not because, you know, I don't believe in fear or anything, but it's just because I believe in you. I believe in Nicole. I believe in us. And I believe in what we're trying to do, because it is rooted in connection and growth and development and just love and light and energy, good energy. Like it is, that is what the world needs right now.